Meanwhile, Billy and Michael were still inside, trying to get the air vent screws off as the fire raged on. "We need to get out," Michael said as Billy was still going at it. "No, there is only one way out for us, and that's through the air vents," Billy said as he ripped off one of the screws. "The only way out for us is in a body bag," Michael said as he ripped Billy away from the vents. "No!" he shouted as Billy then stabbed one of the screwdrivers through Michael's foot. "Ow!" Michael screamed as he took in a ton of smoke down his throat. He began to choke as Billy pushed Michael down to the floor as he ripped the air vent off. "Are you coming or not?" he asked Michael as his foot bled so much it was dripping out of his shoe. "Are you kidding?" Michael said as he got on all fours and began to crawl after Billy. The smoke was catching up to them as the fire raged on. They dashed through the vents as quickly as they could. Billy led the way. The smoke was coming towards them all of a sudden as they turned the corner. "Why did you think coming into the air vents was a good idea?" Michael asked as the smoke was coming closer and closer to both of them. "I didn't expect there to be a fire, did I?" Billy rebutted as he took his shirt and covered his mouth. He then began to crawl into the smoke. Michael was shocked as he didn't know what to do. All of a sudden he then began choking. "Bill," Michael said as he couldn't really breathe. He fell to the floor of the air vent as Billy went on leaving him behind. "Bye Mike, it was nice knowing you," he said as he quickly turned around to look at Michael's corpse lying in the air vent. All the smoke came around him and made him disappear. Billy continued to crawl on as the vents were getting covered in smoke. He then looked down at the vents as one of the ways led to the chief officer's office. He then kicked it open as he then dropped down and landed on the desk. He then looked around as there was little smoke in the room. He then searched through the office as he tried to find the prison cell keys. "Where are they?" he said as he began to kick stuff around. All of a sudden someone opened the door. It was a firefighter. "What are you doing here?" he said as Billy grabbed the lamp off the officer's desk. "Piss off," Billy said as the smoke and fire began to start sneaking into the office. "You need to get out," the firefighter said. "Fuck off," Billy replied as he began to start throwing stuff at firefighters as they used his hose and put out the fire with his water. "Go away," Billy repeated as Billy moved closer with the lamp. "I will hit you," Billy said as all of a sudden a second firefighter came rushing in. "Oh please, the building is on fire, we don't have time for this shit," the firefighter said as his buddy walked away and went to fight the fire in another part of the prison. "Put that lamp down," the firefighter said as Billy looked at him. "Fuck you," he said as he threw it. It hit the firefighter in the head and cracked his helmet. "Oh God," he said as he took in a whole lot of smoke. "Please get some help," the firefighter said as Billy was holding his breath. The firefighter then dropped to the floor as Billy then rushed over and picked up the helmet off him. "Fuck you," Billy said as he put the helmet on and grabbed some tape to tape up the hole that he made. He walked over the firefighter's body as he grabbed the oxygen tank from his back. The other firefighters all looked at him as he was rolling through the hallways as the firefighters were scared of touching him. "Sir, you have to leave," the firefighter said. "Fuck you," Billy repeated to them as he walked through the hallway as the fire raged on. All of a sudden the ceiling began to collapse around Billy and the firefighter. "Fuck," Billy said to himself as a huge iron beam landed on one of the firefighters. Billy was trying to get over the large beam but it was too hot. The firefighter came rushing back. "What are we going to do?" Billy asked the firefighter. "We are going to have to call for backup to cut through this beam." "But what about the smoke?" Billy asked as there was more smoke than oxygen in the air. "We just have to take it," the firefighter said as he had given up. All of a sudden we both looked up and saw that the iron bar above was also collapsing. "I don't think there is a way out," the firefighter said as unexpectedly the iron bar fell down and completely squashed the firefighter. It also landed on Billy's leg. Ow! He said as he couldn't move. I can't believe this. Billy said to himself as the oxygen tank had all run out. I love you. He suddenly said with his last dying breath. As Darren and I were still in the yard with all of the other prisoners. There was a loud explosion. Stay calm everyone. One of the officers said. All of a sudden one of the officers came by and began to start to roll call everyone. He was ticking everyone's name off the list. Where is Billy, the doctor? He asked several of the other officers. I haven't seen him in days. One of the officers said. Oh, I guess he is gone. The officer said as he crossed the name off the list. Oh, I better tell the governor. One of the other officers said as he pulled out his phone and began to call the gov. So what are we going to do? Darren asked me. I don't know, maybe they let us all go. Are you stupid? We are going to be transferred to another prison or something. Darren said as he was getting nervous by the second. Why are you getting so nervous? I asked him. Because the fire investigation is going to find out that I started the fire. I looked Darren in the eye. What? I said. Why? Because I couldn't let Billy and Michael control me. Darren said. I then pushed him away. They were the only way out of this hellhole. No, they weren't. Darren said as he then took his glasses off and threw them down to the floor. You think you are so big, George, but you are not. He said as he then dashed towards me. He hit me right in the stomach as I went up against the wall. Ow! I said as the other prisoners were still watching the fire burn through the prison.